folks. Well, criminal cosplay Paul Watson, currently is sitting in a jail in Greenland, the capital city of Nuuk, awaiting his fate, whether he's going to be extradited to Japan or not for crimes he committed against the Japanese whaling fleet some years ago. And his minions all over the world are fit to be tied, protesting and demanding, release him! Do not send him to Japan because he'll die there and those Japanese torture people in jail. Yeah, that's what they're saying. And demonstrations mainly in Europe are taking place. And recently in the European Commission, their parliament, one day, they had a discussion. And let's review the discussion topics for the day, this particular day, at the European Commission. Here are the topics they were scheduled to discuss. Number one, they were going to talk about the droughts and extreme weather threat to the European Union agriculture. Number two, deteriorating situation of women in Afghanistan. 3, political prisoners in Belarus, that country. Belarus, that's it. Political prisoners in Belarus. 4, some case about a guy in Cuba and the European Union and USA satellite agreements. 5, support for Ukraine. 6, the situation in Venezuela. 7, devastating floods in Europe. And last and least, number 8, Paul Watson, his possible extradition. So all these heavyweight topics they're going to discuss, they had to include the criminal. Gee, talk about nonsense. Well, delegates got up and spoke in favor of Watson, demanding he not be extradited and be released. However, there was one delegate from Germany who spoke critical of Paul Watson, and listen to what this German delegate had to say in reference to Watson.
European law is now only being selectively applied. The climate religion is above else, and eco-terrorists are being declared saintly. One good example of this is Paul Watson. This eco-terrorist has sunk vessels, he's endangered the lives of seamen, and he's broken pretty much every maritime rule that exists. Ships are being blocked, but nevertheless, the so-called civil society on the Greens and the Reds want him to be released. Seems the Commission goes along with that. Even President Macron is suggesting that this terrorist should be released. He even does that united with the left-wing radical Mélenchon. So everybody seems to be calling for the freeing of this terrorist. No difference between Paul Watson and bin Laden. Denmark should extradite him immediately, but Watson is just a small fish. And we know that it's always the head of the fish that stinks the worst.
He called Watson an eco-terrorist and equated him to Osama bin Laden. Gee, so what do we have here now? Watson bin Laden? And that infuriated the paramour, Watson's paramour, to the point where she's demanding that he be thrown out of the legislative body and no longer be a member, so they could sue him for defamation of character, for slander. Hello? Hello? You could do that all you want. It will not revoke his immunity while he was on the floor of that legislative body. He can retire, he can leave, but it doesn't revoke his immunity for what he said on the floor. But that doesn't matter to the paramour and the Watson's minions, because they're all emotions. There's nothing rational about them. They don't understand clear thinking because it's all emotion. Now we have Stanford University. Stanford University, their law school is prestigious, and they put out a journal which is prestigious throughout these here United States and certain parts of the world. 14 years ago, they issued this journal. And this journal is in reference to Sea Shepherd, Watson, and Japanese whaling. And right here they note, it appears that Japan's accusations of eco-terrorism are valid. And they continue to write, Sea Shepherd is arguably violating law by engaging in eco-terrorism. Continues, Paul Watson transformed from a conservationist to eco-terrorist. Further they go on, their techniques are life-endangering and fall into a growing category of violence known as eco-terrorism. So you see, even the prestigious law school at Stanford University labels their activities as eco-terrorists. And that's where we get, what do we get? What? Watson bin Laden, the eco-terrorist, equivalent to Osama bin Laden. All right, folks, we'll see you. God bless you. God bless America. And God bless the nation you happen to be in. See ya.
No difference between Paul Watson and bin Laden. Denmark should extradite him immediately, but Watson is just a small fish. And we know that it's always the head of the fish that stinks the worst.